Well, according to Mark the Maker, Sunshine Arta 51, Twiki Lamas, Tinkermate, LY Soccer, Einstein Unicorn, and Monarch 3DW, they all wanted to see an update about the Thingomatic. And I figured if they wanted to see an update about it, everybody else wanted to see an update about it. So here's an update on the Thingomatic. So if you guys can tell from my Instagram, a lot of things have happened from the last video I did on the Thingomatic, and there have been a couple of changes to it. For the most part, stayed the same, but the biggest change of all has been getting rid of this thing. The stock, clunky, didn't work super well, hot-in design. So first of all, shout out to @MarkTheMaker for being gracious enough to pick me up a $10 clone E3D knockoff from Banggood. I guess he was putting in an order for stuff anyways and got tired of seeing me fiddling with that thing and said, okay, Calvin, I'm getting you a better hot end. It's gonna help. So huge thanks on that, dude. I do have to admit that I work with real E3D V6s at my job, and the clones are definitely not the same, but for $10 on his end and whoops, free on my end, plus install time and printing the part to install it, it's decent. It gets the job done. The main grumble with it is it kind of leaks because the threading is crappy on it, and it has PTFE-ish liner widget that runs like all the way to the nozzle, but oh well. You know what? It's light years better than what was in there before, so that is the awesome part. So huge thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. In the future, I am probably going to get an actual E3D V6 because I do want to be able to run high temperature materials and maybe experiment with things like polycarbonate or things like that. But for the moment, I'm going to stick with what's in here and just work with it. So that's the kind of the big update. Another thing I'm going to probably do is make a better extruder design. The one that I have in here currently, which I'm going to have a link to for the Thingiverse files for it, it's okay, but the problem is it only uses 2 screws to hold the motor in, and sometimes I'll notice the motor will flex when it goes to do stuff, and then that kicks the hot end, and it's not perfect. I mean, I guess I'm being a little bit picky because I'm a machinist and I like things rigid, but I also look at the Ultimaker and you can grab the whole head assembly and move that thing around and hot end is not going anywhere. So I'm probably going to look into machining my own E3D mount as well as extruder assembly. So if you guys want to see a video about me attempting to do that, please let me know and I will try and do my best to document it. I'm slowly working on improving lighting on my machines in the garage and in here, so that way you can see things better. Which is also a segue into something that this machine desperately needs for doing time lapses, and that is lighting. So I'm probably going to do a lighting setup similar to my Ultimaker, where I'm going to have light strips running on the inside, and I might also look into installing light strips on the underside of the print head, but I don't know if those will be problematic or not for a GoPro. If they are, I can always put a little glare guard in place or something like that. One of the other things that I definitely need to do is improve the wiring. I did go ahead and print some strain reliefs for some of the wiring, which is a really good idea. The only problem is it's like the wires running to the extruder are like routed really weird. I need to find a better way to run the cooling fan for the E3D clone because it's being run off a separate 12-volt power supply and it's really clunky. So I'm probably going to do a video in the future, maybe just a time lapse if you guys want, of me redoing the wiring a bit better, probably putting in split loom tubing, things like that. One other issue that's kind of problematic that I need to deal with if I'm going to keep printing is the stock drive wheel widget doohickey thingamabobber. Some of the teeth were damaged on it when I got it, and this is a big problem because you'll notice when it's feeding the filament it goes fine, hits a damaged spot, can't feed, and you'll notice flow issues in a print, which is really frustrating because I know that when it doesn't have flow issues it prints fine, but then you'll be going, no flow, going, no flow. So I definitely need to work on figuring that out because that's really annoying. The other problem is the massive motor that came with the thing. It has a 6mm shaft according to my calipers. And the problem with that is all the stuff I can find on eBay is 5mm. So I'm debating switching over from this massive motor that looks like something that would go on my CNC mill downstairs to a much smaller motor like what they're using to drive the axes. Might also help the head with a little bit of Z accuracy because there won't be so much weight pushing down on everything. Speaking of the Z-axis assembly, I'm debating putting a little bit of wood glue on the components to make it more rigid. It's decently rigid, but being it is wood and there is a boatload of weight from the stupid motor on the end, I noticed that there's a little bit of backlash in the Z-axis when it goes to lift up because it has to pre-tension everything. So I'll see what I can do about that. I'm not going to freak out about it too much. I understand this machine is older and I'm trying to keep it as visually stock as I can, just so if I take it somewhere and show off next to the Ultimaker, I can. But at the same time, that is something that I really need to deal with because it is a big pain in the butt. So other than that, at the moment, I've just been doing some testing with it, running test prints, and also trying out different build materials. The advantage being the build bed on here is small, and it's a lot easier for me to stick things down on it than the Ultimaker. I mean, sure, I could put things on the bed and re-level it, but it'd be a little bit of a pain, while on here it's easier to do stuff. So at the moment, I've just been running Tallman's bridge and running it on some Garolite LE, which has been going good. So this is definitely a nice test platform for materials. I'm also going to be doing the G10 ABS print in the near future once I kind of figure out how everything's going to go and get the feeder fixed so I don't have the flow issues. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry if it was a little bit rambling, but that's just kind of me firing off all the different updates on the machine. If you guys want to see more videos about this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Also follow my social media if you want to, because I post a lot of photos with updates on there. And if you guys have any comments or questions, let me know down below. The overall plan for this, though, is still to keep it as stock as I can, but hopefully I can actually make it a pretty decent workhorse of a machine, and I think it'll serve me well. And at the end of the day, I have to thank Tested, especially Norm and Sean, for being nice enough to let me part ways with their Thingomatic. And huge thank you guys if you're watching this. That was seriously really nice of you guys to do that. It's pretty cool owning a piece of somebody else's YouTube channel, and I want to try and keep it as stock as I can, partly for nostalgia's sake and partly, you know, just because it's cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time on Make It with Calvin.